Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Connected by Community, a podcast to bring you interest from our business community, nonprofits, and other various interests in our community, sponsored by Ballantine Capital Advisors. I'm Brian Ballantine. I'm joined by Anthony Colincheco, and we have as our guest here today, Jennifer Sisk. I think I said that right.
You said it perfectly.
Good. Thanks for being here.
An honor to be here. Thank you both very much. I'm very excited. I'm
Well,
very excited to be on one.
That's right. So to tell our audience,
Yes.
you're a professional. So backstory, we kind of got our start by Moms on the Move sometime back. We were actually, I don't know if you know this, the first guys on the podcast.
I do know.
Okay.
I do know.
So
It's
you know
awesome.
the history.
Mhm.
But we hadn't had a chance to connect with you since you started doing the podcast, and we thought it'd be a great opportunity to learn about you and kind of the things that you do outside of Moms on the Move. And by the way, check out that podcast if for those that have. We want to give a little plug there.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys do some awesome stuff and have built up a great community, and certainly respect what you've been able to do there. So that's awesome.
Thank you. We love it and we enjoy it very much.
It is fun
We
for
have a
those.
lot of-
You know, we were telling some of our other guests before that when you first get here, it's a little unnerving. You got camera. For those that don't know in the audience, there's cameras behind the scenes and this stuff. If you're not used to it, but you just kind of start talking to people about what they do and forget they're there, right?
You do. When they first walk in, it's intimidating to a lot of the guests. And then you sit down with us and we just start cracking up and acting silly and it's
That's
all
right.
good. And you forget.
That's
You just
right.
have a good time.
That's right. So tell us a little bit about yourself personally. What brings you to the area, and are you married, kids, that kind of wonderful stuff?
Yes, I've been married 30 years this year.
Congratulations.
I know, I'm very excited. It's a big deal these days. And we came to Greenville area because of my husband's work.
Mhm.
So we lived in Lexington, Columbia area for 50 years. So this was a big change, but we love it. But that's why we're here. And I essentially had to start over with my business, which has been great. New people, and I'm a new face. So it's been pretty successful and a lot of fun. So that's what got me here.
Awesome. And for those who don't know, I'm also from Lexington, so we
I
didn't
know.
know.
We talked about that. That's so awesome.
Yeah, we're from one another's backyard there, not too far away, and so tell us a little bit more about your business. What do you do, and what kind of services do you offer, and people do you work with?
I'm a certified life coach. I got certified in 2017, and I came out the other side of my own issues, and which, if you're going to be a really good, effective life coach, you have had to have been on your knees with something, which most of us have. But I recovered from a 30-year eating disorder when I was a young child, all the way to 42 years old. I figured out what was going on, got help, came out the other side of it, and I was a different person. And people noticed. And then I started to help people, because if you get on a wrong track in life, which I did, it will change you. And all your decisions will be based on that track that you're on. That's essentially a false belief about yourself. So I changed when all of this hidden stuff that you do with disorders, when I recovered. And I thought, I can help people. And I met somebody in the recovery who said, you need to be a coach. You need to help other people. You can make a living doing this. You have a gift. I didn't even think twice about it at all. I was like, yeah, whatever. But as the years went on and people more and more came to me, I started to think I can do this. And ever since then I have been. I got certified from 2016 to 2017 and started then in Lexington and have been going strong ever since. And it's a gift and it's wonderful. And I think I continue to heal while I heal others as well. I love it.
So tell us, what does a life coach do, and what does someone reach out to you for?
Life coaches are, well, I can tell you too, how they're different from therapists and psychologists. Those are the major professionals. A lot of schooling goes into that profession. So we cannot do anything clinical, any disorders, any addictions, any clinical depression or anxiety, things that are very serious like that, we do not touch. Those are for the upper level professionals. So life coaches just get certified. And I shouldn't say just, but we're people that lift you, are there for you. We are cheerleaders. We help you reach goals, help you through a divorce. If you are struggling with an issue or fears, just anything life-related, I can help you do. And I work with all ages. I've worked from a 10-year-old all the way to a 79-year-old. So anything you need that's life related, you can bring to me and I'm going to help you see it differently. That's how I do it. And I help you to strengthen your mind. That's what I do.
And what do you think you learned struggling with your own issues to help you be a better coach for others now?
That the crucial bottom line is believing in yourself. You have to believe that you can come out from whatever's holding you down or whatever's holding you back or whatever fear you're dealing with. I think I was so entrenched in my own issue that I never thought I could come out. I thought I was doomed. I thought this was my whole life. And when I came out the other side of it, I didn't want anybody else to struggle the way I did. And you don't have to be on the track that I was on. You could be on one where you just don't think you're enough, or you don't think you're smart enough, or athletic enough, or anything enough. A lot of us suffer with that. And so I think when I came through a very difficult thing that I dealt with for 30 years, I knew that I could help somebody else with whatever they were dealing with. And it can get emotional because it heals me to heal other people and to be there for other people. So did that answer your question?
Yeah. And I'm sure it probably helps you continue your strength and your own recovery with things that you deal with.
It does. It does. Anytime you have a gift and you use it to help other people, it heals the inside of you as well, which it does for me every time. I love it. And I love all the ages that I work with and all the issues that I work with. And I worked with a lot with COVID recovery, where I think people were all sick of each other being in their homes. Everybody was sick of everybody. And the social anxiety, not so much clinical, just the social anxiety of being separated. So I helped a lot of adults, marriages. I work with couples too, and kids and siblings. So.
Well, you actually took away my next question. So expand a little bit more on that, though, because I think there's probably some more of that going on in our community, that maybe we're coming out of this COVID thing. And what struggles do you see people going through relationally, or jobs, or whatever, school, or whatever it might be that they're struggling with in this somewhat post-COVID world?
Well, the world that we were in before COVID is full of distractions, and we were always doing something. We were always harried, had to be somewhere and go do something, and sometimes too much. So when COVID came and slowed us down, we kind of got in our own heads, and we didn't have those distractions. So a lot of things started to bubble up within people that they dealt with. That's why some marriages failed. And some kids' anxieties went through the roof, and other struggles started to bubble up because you couldn't use the distractions of life and getting out and doing things in school and activities to help to quell those a little bit. So I dealt a lot with that. I also dealt with kids being tired of one another and of their own siblings, which is already an issue just naturally. But then they're stuck in the house, and then they're tired of their parents, and their parents are tired of them. And not in a mean way, but it's not our human nature to be crammed all together all the time. So I help them through that, because you have to create a new balance once it changes again. And with COVID, it moves so fast.
It's true. It just changed the balance. And
the dynamic.
My kids get along all the time.
Do
you have that issue yet?
Not yet. I'm lucky. I only got a 4-year-old and a 10-month-old that,
They're not old enough to get.
They're not old.
It's all good.
That's it. The 10-month don't talk back, so it's good.
Yeah, you just wait. Then you'll have two.
Two girls, so I got my hands full.
Yeah.
Well, they won't get along until one of them moves out, and then they learn to appreciate that one, because I have 2 boys. They're grown. I didn't mention that at the beginning when you asked about me. I have 2 grown sons. One's 26 and just got married a couple weeks ago, and
Awesome.
One is 23, and he's a police officer at USC.
Oh,
So,
great.
yeah, they're awesome.
That is awesome.
Do you do group coach settings for like businesses or just?
I do speaking engagements, yes. And I do group coaching too. I offer that on my website. If there's, sometimes women love to get together and just, talk with me, and then they take what they've learned and go and talk together. But so I do that. But yeah, I do speaking engagements I've done them at gyms, at churches, at businesses. And I talk about my favorite things, which is self-care, negative self-talk that we do to ourselves, your gut instinct I talk about, and and my biggest thing, which is getting on the wrong track in life, because we usually do that in childhood. We'll get on the wrong track with false beliefs about who we are or what we can do based on the outside noise of things. And so I do a really good speech on that, about getting off of that track if it's not serving you. And we don't realize we're on it a lot of times.
And so what are some of the things you might share with the audience with that?
I talked to them about you'll have an innocent thought. Oh, I'll just use myself for an example. You'll have an innocent thought as a child. At 11 years old, I noticed that I was probably maturing a little more physically than some of my friends. So it was just an observation, an innocent observation. I noticed it, and I thought, well, I'm a little hippier than most, and that kind of thing. And then you will have the innocent thought, and then you will get validated possibly by somebody you respect or love. So I was 11 and 12. I turned 12 in that May. I went and stayed with my grandmother, and she compared me to another neighborhood friend because she had a dress shop, and I tried on the dress, and the friend tried on the dress, and she said, Jennifer, if only you had Michelle's figure. Well, at 12 years old, I thought figure was a number. I didn't know figure was your body. So I go home in old school and look it up in the dictionary, and my whole world changed because when she said if you only had, well, in my little mind, whatever this was wasn't what that was, which wasn't good enough, right? If you're a deep thinker like I am, obviously. So then you've had the innocent thought. You get the validation from somebody you love, which could be a parent, a grandparent, a coach, a teacher, a neighbor, a friend, an uncle. It could be anybody that innocently says something. They don't mean to do this to you. So then what happens is you go out into the world and you start to seek support for that belief. So if you think you're not enough or you think something's not right here, then if you see something going on or somebody says something, that's all you hear and you take it with you to validate that belief about yourself. And then that leads to low self-esteem and confidence issues. And then you start to build on it in your mind. And it could be anything. You could not do well in a math class or on a math test and you see everybody around you doing well. And then somebody says to you outside of that school, well, you just aren't good in math. Well, you had the test, which was innocent enough that you didn't do well on, so what? It's a test. But then if somebody says something and then you start to believe it, then guess what? What you think you are, you won't do good in math. And so that's what I talk about. I talk about getting off the wrong track in life. So.
I would think with image stuff, in today's Instagram world we live in, that's even a lot more difficult, right?
That's a whole nother speech,
Yeah, and I don't want to stereotype, but at least we'll say this. I think it's a challenge with young girls with self-esteem sometimes, and I'm sure boys face it too, but I have one of each. And if I had to guess, it's more on the typically girls comparing what they look like because it seems like at least my boy could care less. But it's being compared maybe to someone they see that's famous who may have a mess of a life behind the scenes, but all they see is an Instagram post, right?
Right.
And,
right.
Are we supposed to have a body that looks like them or a face that looks like them that's probably altered anyway?
They always are.
And is it reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter. They're kids. They don't have the wisdom and experience to have a filter of that, no matter if you tell them all they see is that's what they see, right? And it's 55,000 images of that very, very fast. And that brain's not fully developed to understand. And then by the time they get to 23, 24, maybe it's more fully, I don't know if it's fully developed then, but they then have been, brainwashed is not the right word.
Wired.
They've been wired. That's better, right. To believe that for a long period of time. So to unwire, that's a lot of work.
Well, that's what I do. I unwire all of it because we're so hardwired as human beings, and it's natural to be wired. And to completely flip that on its head is something that I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To piggyback off of that, you start to hear in the news and about these young kids with depression and a lot more. What are some things that parents could help out with or sort of see, help their children get through some of that depression?
To recognize it, for one, to do family things, to have dinner, to play games, to get the kids one-on-one together, to have conversations, even hard ones, are what we need to do more than anything these days, because things are not the same as when I was younger. I'm 53 years old, and you spent your day on the bike, and you were away from phones, and you're away from the gaming, and you're away from all those things. So you have to communicate with your kids, and you have to have a relationship with them. And it's harder than ever now because you tend to think your kids need to be scheduled all the time and doing something, but they don't. They need downtime, and they need time with their mom and dad, and they need time with grandparents. They need time with their siblings. So the only way you can recognize that is to be with them, because they can hide it.
Yeah, I think that is a challenge. I mean, we do live in a fast-paced world where we're always busy, 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 go, go, go. And, my daughter's played a lot of sports, and I always joke and say we play it 14 out of 12 months out of the year. And there's not a lot of downtime when you do that kind of thing, right? And so sometimes it's pausing, I think, for, when maybe you think you want to play more sports, but maybe you do need to have just a family night on a regular basis.
You do. If you are on overdrive all the time, that also wires the brain so that when you become an adult, you don't know how to slow down. And then your bar comes this high. And so you're always striving to be something greater and bigger, which is fine to an extent, but trying to be perfect just leads you to failure because there's no such thing. So when you overschedule a child, or you do too much, or you got to take on everything, it raises the bar too high. And that does drip into your adulthood and makes you who you are. And sometimes it can work for you, and sometimes it can work against you. It depends on the person and how their brain is wired and how they work and think and believe.
So do you think that is most of your work helping adults fix the things that have been wired maybe in those ways from all those years of being trained that way?
Yeah. And also if they've had, and I don't mean so much physical abuse, but if they've had an abusive verbal or emotional marriage, helping them understand that is not normal. They're not whatever the spouse or person made them believe they were. I work a lot with rewiring that mind of I'm not good. I'm not enough. How am I ever going to find anything again? Who's going to see me as worthy? I work a lot with that. And it's heartbreaking because we all deal with insecurity to a certain level, but some that have been in marriages for a long time that have they beat them down with the slow drip of abuse. I help to rewire that. I work a lot with marriages that have dissolved.
And so with someone like that, is that something an ongoing process for life, or is that something, hopefully they can work with you and in months they start seeing some results, Because I think one of the things with everything, whether it's a diet, exercise, or life coach, people want to see some type of improvement. So is that something you generally see some positive improvement in working in a month, or does it take years?
It can take, for me, it took years. But of course I had a disorder, but then I also dealt with the confidence and self-esteem issue, which I have completely reversed in myself. But it's never one and done. When you work with changing the brain and your routine and the way you do things and the way that our brains work, it's a consistent feeding of the positive and what you could have and what you deserve to have and what you can have. So you need it every week, every 2 weeks. And, some people it could take a couple months and some people it could take a couple years. It just depends on their wiring and how hardwired they are and how ready they are to receive what I say. Because some people, they act like they hear you, but then they don't really do it. It sounds pretty and they walk away going, yeah, I got this. And then by, 12 hours later, we're right back to where we were. I have some that can literally be transformed this much just walking away after the first session because you see things different. I can flip the lens and they can see an issue or a problem differently than when they came in. Because if you're in the throes of it, anytime we're in the throes of anything, the outside person sees it differently and I can help them to see it in a different way. So it takes time.
Are there exercises that folks could actually practice?
Well, one of the exercises I work on a lot with people is I do journals, and I know people get the eye roll with that because it sounds so old school, but that's what I am, is old school. And everything I do is back to the basics of life and back to the roots of who we are and the core of who we are. So I do journal writing, and then I also do if we have negative self-talk, and people don't realize they do, they just think that's who they are. So like an example, I couldn't get out of bed in the morning without thinking, oh, you just weighed less. It'd be easier to get out of bed. And then when I brush my teeth, gosh, look at your double chin. If I'd walk by a window when I was going to work, you side-eye yourself. I mean, it's constant barrage of negative self-talk. And I just thought that was me. That was just me. No, it's not me. It's wired me. So what I help clients with is when we narrow down certain ones that plague them daily, And we reverse the thought. Like they'll think it and I'll say, no, interrupt it. Stop it right there. And I don't care if you sound like a crazy person. You say the opposite of it right now and you get through it. Or you write it down. Or you go to the bathroom and you look in the mirror. Because if you can accept and let the negative reside, you absolutely can push that out and let the positive come in. And people don't understand that. You can control a lot of this. Thoughts are going to come in. We can't do anything about them. They're lightning fast. But we can handle and how we're going to react to them. Right? We can do that. And people don't realize how much control you can have over certain things and how you can believe differently than you've always believed. So I help with the exercises with journaling. You write down what you're grateful for, because to be focused on what you have over what you don't have starts your day off right. And sometimes I have people that are really struggling do it in the day and the night. And then we write down what we want or desire as if we already have it in our hand. And that's a hard thing for some because they want to write down, I just don't want to be in debt. No, you write down that you're a freaking gazillionaire. I'm a gazillionaire. That's so much more powerful and positive than, just don't want to be in debt. I just don't want to be overweight. No, you're a lean, mean machine. I am a lean, that's what you say. So you put that out there, you put it in your journal, you feel it, you get emotionally involved with the thought. And then the last thing I have people do at the bottom is there's always people that take up rent in our minds, right? You know, it could be your neighbor, it could be a family member that aggravates you, it could be a coworker, a friend, somebody that's just aggravating the poo out of you. If you believe in God, you send them a prayer. If you don't, you send them love, because that helps to take what's taking up space here and letting the universe and God handle it. And over time, you will learn to not let them take up rent in your mind, because that's a negative emotion and they're taking up space and you don't want that. Because people are always going to be around and do things and say things. So that's an exercise that I do.
You know, one of the things I'm hearing there that I try to say is you can control your attitude, right? You know, it's not always perfect, but you can't control the consequences or things that you do from your actions or failure from your actions, because we're human and we're flawed. But you can, to the best of your extent, control your attitude around it, right? And so doing that's going to probably have you be more successful personally, professionally, relationally, and all those kind of things.
Exactly. You don't want to react. You want to respond to any situation. You know, some people use the 24-hour bucket thing. Well, we don't always have that time. So instead of reacting, which usually comes from emotion, you respond, which is, you know, take the emotion away and you just deal with the facts. You don't get mad. You don't get upset. You don't get over the top happy. You just respond. There's a difference.
Yep.
And it's a whole lot more control than the knee-jerk reaction that usually gets us in trouble.
I like
one way
that.
or the other. Yeah.
I like that.
But it takes practice. You need to practice like you do anything else. You have to practice that muscle, because we are triggered people.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll tend to, you know, and go forward, and we want to defend and step in. And I've done it myself many times, and I've had to learn to respond and not react. So.
You know, I might need your help with driving. I will say that's the one thing. I'm sitting here thinking I am triggered when it comes to driving. But that I might need some therapy on that one. It's my kids will tell me, and I'll be honest, people just can't drive. But anyway, that's a different show. We won't talk about that. That's my personal issue.
When you're right though.
Yeah,
I'm going to validate you. In that. You're right.
I know I'm right. It's definitely an issue, and I'm willing to admit it. But I'm not the only one, because. There's a lot of you out there.
It's funny.
I had a question and I totally forgot it thinking about my driving. What's the biggest misconception people have in maybe coming to you and talking to you about maybe some of the help they need?
That they can't get out of it, that they're stuck. I'm like, well, are you a tree? You have roots in the ground, you can't get out? You know, no. And they also think that it's going to take, 10 years. And it doesn't, because the more work you do on yourself, the faster it'll come to you. So you have to do the homework. But they just don't think they can. They think they're doomed. I know I did when I went for help, and I didn't go to a coach. I had to go to a psychologist because of the eating disorder. I literally had such an attitude when I was in there, because I thought, I've been doing this for 30 years. You can't help me. Whatever. You don't know me. And I was bitter and angry and scared and all of those things. Because I was going to have to give up something that I had used as a crutch my whole life, which is, you think you'd want to get rid of it, and I did, but then that's all I knew. So you think there's no fixing you. I think that's the biggest thing. And you can absolutely change. You can change in 5 minutes. You can change if you want to. And when I tell them that, and I mean it, I think they start to believe me. And I love when I sit like this with people. I have to do a lot of Zoom and all of that and FaceTime and things because of the virtual world. But when I sit like this, people can feel me, and that's it's huge. It's a big deal, and I love it.
Yeah, we're still people at the end of the day, right?
Right, and you need that in that connection, and it's my favorite thing to do. And I call it knees to knees because I'm literally like right here in front of people, and it makes a big difference. They hear me more.
And you mentioned the virtual world. That was probably going to be, and I'm guessing that's due to COVID. How's that affected how you ran your business, and does that make a big difference? I know it's Zoom and you're right there, but that being right next to someone can make a huge difference.
It makes the biggest difference with children. Even though kids love, and I say children, they could be teens and young ones, they're so familiar with virtual that it's really common for them, but they can hide behind that a little bit. Mm-hmm. I can't watch their knees shaking. I can't watch certain shifts. I can't see things. And they act different on a camera or a phone than they would if they're in front of me. Because in front of me, they're going to really hear me. They can they kind of put me off a little bit on the phone. So I do struggle with teenagers and kids on the phone, but over time, we can form a relationship and it works out. Adults seem to do fine. They just dive right in. So I haven't had issues with adults, but the kids, they're so used to it that they almost don't take it real serious.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, I've learned a lot about life coaching, and I think I'm going to hire you for my driving. It just hit me. So I did learn that about myself here. But I think Anthony wanted to ask one more question of you.
Yeah, so we have a typical question we ask, and your co-host, Moms on the Move, took it a different route. I'm interested to hear how you take this. What makes you tick?
What, the Moms on the Move?
No, just in general. What makes you tick? Jen, on Moms on the Move, took it a different route when I asked that question.
I think she was what makes you ticked off, right? Yeah. And that's okay. But as you know her, and you can answer that way too.
So, like, what's my drive?
Yeah.
I think helping people. And I've always been a helper, but my family and my children. But before that, I think I was just like, we were all like puppets on a string. You know, you go to school and you got parents helping you, and you got stages, and, you know, there's different things that you do and levels of life. And then when you get on your own, I think that's when you start to discover what makes you tick. And I think it is service to others. I really do. And I've always been that way, but in different ways. Coaching is just it literally fills my cup, completely fills my cup. So I think service to others, if that makes sense. Yes, I can see absolutely. Jen saying what's ticked me off. She's so funny.
She's the only one that's
She's the only one that's
still to the day. So we'll have someone else. We love you though. Well, thanks for being here and telling folks about yourself and what you do. And for those that want to find you, how could they reach out to you if they needed some help?
I am on Instagram, Facebook. I have my own Facebook business page. It's Jennifer Sisk Life Coach LLC. And I have a website, jennifersisklifecoach.com. And all of the sites have my phone number and information for you to get in touch with me directly. So,
awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for being here. It was a lot of fun. And for all of our audience, if you would like to reach out to her, feel free to do so. You can find us on all the various podcast platforms, social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram. Until we see you next time, go out and make our community great.